Welcome to another edition of AUHSD Future Talks. I'm your host, Michael Matsuda, the Superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District. And as our audience knows, this show is all about jobs and careers and the future. What is the future for our 30,000 Anaheim students? We've been so blessed to have many really big stakeholders, from CEOs to college presidents to amazing teachers and even students. But today we have someone very special, someone who produces a show that's a national PBS show called Roadtrip Nation. Welcome, Mike Marriner, founder of Roadtrip Nation.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so wanted to start right off in terms of how did this all start? Give us a little bit about who you are, Mike, and the whole sort of genesis story of Roadtrip Nation. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, wow, yeah, it was a while ago now. We, the early days of Roadtrip Nation was not like we were kids with some PhD thesis or big, perfectly strategic plan, nonprofit thing. We were students ourselves, just trying to figure out who we were and what we wanted to do with our lives, and realize that the world of work is changing so quickly that it's really hard to kind of navigate and just get visibility as to all the paths that are out there. And so we thought, what better way than to take a road trip across America and have this old beat up motorhome, just go talk to people that are actually out there in the world of work and learn from their personal stories. And I think we were also really hungry to learn through people's stories. I think we had learned a lot through books, a lot through digital programs, a lot through downloadable PDFs and Myers-Briggs personality career assessments, but we just wanted to do it by taking a road trip and by talking to people about their career stories and learning how they got to where they are. And I think that was really important at that time in our lives, because I think at that point where you're kind of wayfinding and trying to find your path, it's not just about getting the career information. I think it's also about building the career confidence and the self-efficacy and the self-belief. And storytelling helps you do that, because when you learn from other people's stories, you learn that they didn't have it all figured out, that they were also lost at some point, that they also had to pay off student loans and deal with failure and rejection. And I think, LinkedIn, we love LinkedIn. We partner with LinkedIn, but when you go to people's LinkedIn profiles, you see all of these perfect career paths, and that can be really overwhelming, when the reality is that that's not the real story. That's not the full story. And I think that was important for us at that moment, was to get the full story and learn the early, periods of how people found their roads.
Well, I just love this concept. I mean, these two college grads are, hopping in an RV, looking for that story, looking for people's stories, right? And I think a lot of people find themselves on the road, right? And looking at what is the real America. And you guys have been doing that for about 20 years now. You look like you're 20. You still look like a 20-year-old. But I find that so attractive, right? I think many of us are envious. We would love to go on a road trip and do the things that you do and meet the just amazing people that you've met over the years. So you start this in 2001, and then how did you end up becoming part of the PBS family?
Yeah, it was funny, because when we did the road trip to try to figure out what we wanted to do with our life, but and when we interviewed someone in Burlington, Vermont, this guy who started an advertising agency there, and I'll never, for Burton Snowboards, and he said, when you magnify what it is you believe in, the world conspires to support you on your path. And I'll never forget that, because it was like I just had this. It was like, the important thing is finding things you believe in, and if you find something you believe in and you just double down on it and you magnify it and you're bold, and it can be anything. It can be something as weird as a road trip. And honestly, at the end of that road trip, we were like, we really believe in this and this experience, and somehow providing this experience for other students, and that was kind of the beginning of that idea. And so, to make a long story short, we'd interviewed someone who knew a writer at Forbes Magazine. Forbes had done a little tiny article on our road trip. That article got visibility from an editor at Random House. And so we had the opportunity to write a book about our road trip. And we got a little signing bonus from that. And we lived on that for a year and a half. And we actually used part of that signing bonus to put other students on a road trip in our same motorhome. And we opened an online application. We're like, we want to pay this forward, pass the torch, provide this opportunity to more students. And then we became the film crew, and we kind of taught ourselves how to film and all that stuff. And so, and that was the first ever Roadtrip Nation documentary series that we edited. And we met a producer at PBS New York City. And I'll never forget, he was like, if you bring this to PBS, you can have creative control over it, so it can be meaningful, mission-driven content, and you can have longevity. Because it's like if you it takes a while to break into PBS, but once you're in, you kind of have this, you're kind of there. Like shows like Sesame Street have been on for a long time, so you can, if you really want to build a nonprofit around it, which we ended up doing, you can have this kind of longevity media piece of what you did. So that kind of became the Roadtrip Nation model, and we found supporters and financial supporters to help us, which is a whole other journey, and it was just kind of, and it just kind of took on its own life system from there, and
so now you have sort of a track record where I'm sure you've had hundreds of, mostly these are like college students, 2 or 3 or 3 or so on the RV, and you have, they're based on like themes. Like, could you tell us how that all works out, and some of the people that you've had a chance to interview? Because I think there's like thousands of them now, right?
Yeah, the database is 9,000 videos, and that's really important, because we know we'll never put every student in America in a motorhome to go across the country. But like our mission as Roadtrip Nation was never to just put students on road trips. Like that's kind of that's the fun byproduct, But the point is to empower people to define their own roads in life and leverage the power of storytelling to help build students' sense of self-efficacy and confidence. And so, the way we can do that for more students is through our database. And because we've been so intentional with the content development from all the road trips, we now have this database of 9,000 video assets, which is the amalgamation of the outcome of all of these road trips that we can bring to students all across the country, including, AUHSD students now as part of our new partnership, which is so exciting, which is the whole point of this, right? Is that we're never going to buy enough motorhomes to put every student in a motorhome, but we can be thoughtful with 21st century content development methods to create a database, create a repository of human-centered stories of how people got to where they are today. And then the learning, to your point, is that if there's one learning we've seen over doing this for so long now, it's that students need to see people like them in a variety of careers that represent the future of work. And whether they're first-generation college-going students, or dreamers, or women in science, or people, who are military service members who are transitioning from the military to civilian life, we now choose thematic issue areas to design road trips around. So for example, we did a road trip with the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, focused on students who are first in their families to go to college. So we collaborated with her to design this trip for 3 young students who were all first gen, who went across America and interviewed people like the former First Lady who were the first in the family to go to college. We did an entire road trip, focused on the trades, the skilled trades, because there are a lot of people out there that think that the 4-year degree path is the only path. But in effect, there's incredible pathways and occupations and pathways for students to go through 2-year degree programs and apprenticeship programs. So we wanted to help change the stigma and perceptions and narratives around, the trades, and really celebrate those pathways. We're doing a road trip this coming year with the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, focused on formerly incarcerated populations. Wow. We're going to have 3 system impact individuals living in the RV, going across America, interviewing people who are also system impacted, but who transitioned to meaningful employment, to learn how, with that unique shared lived experience, have they navigated, and what were the insights they've gained along the way. So, you can't disconnect career development from people's unique lived experiences. And so we now leverage these road trips as a way to, aggregate those stories in a way that's contextualized based on what people have dealt with in their lives. And the database is this great, tapestry of all of these different stories. So.
Yeah. So, and where can we get more information on your website where people can actually take a look at some of this stuff?
Yeah, it's all on roadtripnation.com. And it's all under we have career exploration tools called the Roadmap. And then all of our videos under our watch section of our website. And then soon, the AUHSD new community hub that we're launching will have all this content on there as well, including videos from AUHSD students. So that's one of the big things we've learned too, is the importance of going place-based. More and more, it's important to have students from different parts of the country have different opportunities and different occupational, especially coming out of the pandemic, like everything changed, and so how do we go place-based and help to drive storytelling around, what's unique and what's happening in different communities? So
why do you think storytelling is so impactful, especially with young people?
I think that young people are looking for, I think in the age of social media, where everyone is showing the perfect parts of their lives, I think that young people are hungry for something real. And that's where when you talk about things like failure and when you messed up, it's like, it's such a epiphany, like, oh, it's okay to fail. I've never seen that before. I never saw that on LinkedIn, And it's so important because that's just in every single interview we've done, the thousands and thousands of videos, the one commonality is that, life is not linear, and people learn through zigging and zagging, and agility and the ability to have resiliency and learning how to learn and adapting. Those are all just such important parts that we've seen in terms of how people have navigated. And I think that's where storytelling is really important, because especially if the stories can be vulnerable and honest, and that's where we always kind of coach the students in how to be vulnerable themselves. We call it powerful vulnerability, because it's like physics, it's like an equal and opposite reaction. The more a student can bring into that interview their own sense of powerful vulnerability and be open and honest about their own journeys, the more that person will respond in kind. And then from that grows real relationships. And social capital is an important part of people's career development. And we hate the word networking because it sounds cheap and just kind of shallow and transactional, but relationships are really, really important in people's career journeys. And storytelling, between a young person and someone in a career is a really rich, meaningful, potential way to build those relationships. So,
well, I love to see the interaction with the students on Roadtrip Nation, because they talk about that. They reflect on who they're interviewing and what they've learned. Have you been able to keep in touch with some of the young people who've been on the road trips?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because we just did our first ever longitudinal study last year on the last 15 years of road trips, and to see where some of those students have ended up, and to track back to some of the impact points from those trips, and also for us to more deeply understand, like, what is the most important part of the trip, and we, I think we had some inclinations we never really know. And number one was the ability to meet someone like me in a pathway that represented the future of work, and particularly for students from first generation college going backgrounds who maybe didn't have that same ready access network of just like people around them and different role modeling opportunities. Like, it's just really important, and so that's, we try to learn from that, replicate that in our other programs. So,
and that's why we're so excited about this new partnership between AUHSD and Roadtrip Nation that you alluded to. So let's talk a little bit about that and the importance of these lived stories of young people, especially and this concept of mentorship, right, with people who look like our people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the first step will be to deploy AUHSD students and the Roadtrip Nation's video production teams to go across Orange County and interview people in different careers that represent the future of work right in our own backyard. So we'll have teams of AUHSD students who are already going out there and doing these interviews. So we'll create a regional community hub that will be populated with not only Roadtrip Nation's extensive video archive of stuff we've done over 15 years, including the Michelle Obama collaboration, and all sorts of other content to really reflect, the lived experience that a lot of AUHSD students have, but also deploy AUHSD students to have their own interviews and to build these interviews right in their own communities. So we're really excited about it.
That is really incredible. I mean, what a great opportunity for our young people. I mean, you guys are a national nonprofit. I know that you and I have talked about these important regional partnerships that we're trying to create. So hopefully that we can showcase this as a model of working with urban school districts and the world of work and our corporate and nonprofit partners as well, so we can do a better job of sort of closing the gap between K-12, K-16, and the world of work. Can you comment on how important this collaboration is regionally?
You were excited about it because we're here. We're based in Costa Mesa, you know, and as you said, like we're a national nonprofit. We do work all over the country, but we haven't done a lot of work here in our home community. And for whatever reason, maybe because we've been road tripping all across country and our PBS work and all the stuff we've done. But I think there's just been a real growing interest for us. I think honestly, since the pandemic hit, we've just really seen how different every part of the country is. And it's hard to take a national perspective. You know, you can't just take a lens and say, oh, this part of the country, the future workforce trends are X, Y, and Z. It's just so different. Our country is so big and so diverse. And so, you know, to start really drilling in deep, I think it's really going to be a new part of our nonprofit mission strategy as Roadtrip Nation is still doing our big national media PBS work, but really going deeper in specific communities and trying to reflect some of those stories and helping people navigate post-pandemic, because this time is a really interesting time. You know, a lot of young people are coming to us saying like, how do I navigate now? Like everything's changed, you know, and so it feels like an important time to do that.
There's a lot of anxiety with young people. There's a lot of underemployment with young people, the gig economy that's come out of this. Do you think that things are going to, I mean, I know that you have your pulse nationally too, especially with young people. What is your short and longer term forecast post pandemic?
Yeah, it's tough, you know, like a lot of volatility and a lot of just disruption, but I think it's some of it's in hard ways and some of it's in really good ways. You know, I mean, on the good side, like there's so much more flexibility now and adaptability and agility. Like if you don't want to go to a 4-year program and you're concerned about a debt burden of 100,000, there's so many more ways that you can navigate, you know, and get the credential, or the 2-year degree program. You know, there's so much innovation happening at the community college level. That's where a lot of our work is trying to focus on destigmatizing those 2-year degree pathways and credentialing pathways to show that it's not a second chance pathway. It's just a different pathway. So I think there's a national awakening happening, and the systems are kind of restructuring around that to provide more opportunities for students. And so I think that's super exciting. And I think there's an awareness building among youth that I can, you know, really follow things that I'm interested in, things that I believe in, you know, whether I want to be like I know Anaheim has a long history of small business development and entrepreneurship and everything with, you know, I mean, everything that Mayor Tate has done. And I know you've introduced me to Mayor Tate. We've had some great conversations with him, and the rich history of entrepreneurship, and especially in immigrant communities, entrepreneurship from immigrant communities. You know, I think that what's happening in Anaheim, I think could be a precursor for the rest of the country, where it's like empowerment to the person with an idea, whether it's a local food truck or a flower stand or a small eyewear company. You know, the barrier to entry for those types of things is coming way, way down, which I think is really exciting.
That is exciting. So this new partnership is going to be showcased in a hub, right? That is accessed over the internet, and it's going to debut in the fall, right?
That's right. Our team's working on it right now. We got our digital team working on it, our content teams. Everyone's focusing to get it ready by the fall. So, yep.
What are some of the, in terms of Roadtrip Nation, what are your aspirations looking forward?
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I think the pandemic made everyone kind of like pause, and everyone's having like the come up for breath moment right now, which is like, what is the road ahead? And I honestly think, you know, I think our national media work is important because shifting stigmas around the future of work is incredibly important. You know, there's not, you know, there are still, the future of work still does not feel accessible for everyone. And so storytelling that can show and paint a more inclusive view of the future of work, and that future of work is accessible for everyone, that there are more flexible systems and ways to, you know, navigate. I still think that will be a core to what we do, but increasingly, you know, deeper programmatic work in place-based ways with local school districts like yourself, local workforce development agencies. You know, we're learning right now, you know, what that looks like, and how can we be good partners to agencies like that who are serving youth and trying to be a force for good in their communities, but who may not have access to media assets like that. I think everyone since the pandemic realized like we have to speak to youth in their own language. They can't be downloadable PDFs. It has to be rich media. It has to be video format. And so how can Roadtrip Nation help help be a good partner in that way. We're just starting to learn what that means. So.
Well, I love the metaphor of road trip. I mean, it is a journey, right? You had mentioned how important storytelling is for young people to build that resilience, right? As we move beyond this pandemic, and the journey is constantly getting off the road or on the road or following whatever interests that you might have. I think that this partnership represents sort of a kind of a new GPS type of system, right, for young people and to help them navigate a very complex world. In the closing minutes that we have, what is your kind of words of advice for young people that might be tuning into this show?
I think, it's been a weird year and a half, and I think people are coming up for air now. And, the more that young people can realize that they are entering into a new world, and that can be a really good thing. And this new world has opportunity for you to navigate based on things you're really interested in, things you really believe in. And so I would just recommend, and we say this to all of our Roadtrip Nation students and road trippers, whatnot, is like, just find some quiet time to really reflect on the things that you really care about. And those things can be really, really weird. It could be something like a road trip or food, or coding, or IT or healthcare or helping people. And just it's less about choosing a specific occupational pathway, and more about what are the things you really, really believe in and care about. And if you get close to that, you will unlock all of this resilience and fortitude and stuff that will carry with you your entire path, So, yeah.
I think that's a beautiful message. And I think through this new hub that we're going to create, kids having access to all those stories to ignite their passions is going to be so important. Mike, on behalf of our 30,000 students and the millions and millions of viewers that you have across America on PBS, we're so grateful to have you as a partner, you and Roadtrip Nation, and look forward to the hub, which will debut in sometime this fall. Thank you so much, Mike.
No problem. We're so honored to work with you all. I mean, the work you've done through the pandemic and the resiliency you all have had as a district that we've been watching from the sidelines is just, we are really honored. So we're excited to do some really good work together. So
thank you.